all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
a
convinced
pullback
to
to
enter
cross
long trade.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, BCH, XRP, XLM again today. Before we start it off, dogoodthings.chartguys.com. We've created the nonprofit. We've created our initial storefront. There's a few shirts and sweatshirts and things down here. And we will be donating every dollar of profit. And we also have addresses for donations as well. And we're going to be adding some of our own donations from the chart guys and myself personally. And essentially what we're going to be doing is compiling funds and then as a community voting maybe once or twice a year as to what those funds get used for. And everything's going to be transparent on the blockchain. Interestingly enough, in Canada, we were rejected yesterday for our bank account, explained that it was all for a nonprofit and all that. And because it has crypto involved with it, it was just straight up rejection. So we're working around that for now. And it says do good things on the back of these shirts. So I want to make sure that a lot of people asking about that do good things part. So you click it and you can see what's on the other side. So we would appreciate any support. Keep in mind though that we posted this yesterday on the MJ video and a ton of people bought stuff. So orders are going to be flying in and we don't handle this. We're handling it with a third-party company and they print on demand. So they get your order, then they print it and then they send it. So by the time it gets to you, it's a few weeks, and especially with this influx of orders. So just give it a few weeks before you start asking where your stuff is. And let's get into it. We had some news here. Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame, we've seen two pullbacks, and there's a little bit of news that could be responsible for this most recent one. We broke the potential 4-hour bull flag bearish with multiple inside bars breaking bearish. Stop losses triggered, some shorts jumped into it, and then we had a lower high and a lower low. And this one happened very quickly, this most recent dump. Just looking on the hourly time frame, the top of the bounce flushed right down, and that was about the time that the SEC charges EtherDelta founder with operating an unregistered exchange. Not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but the correlation to the timing was pretty similar, so there is a possibility that that was a factor. And again, you can read this, just Google it, but it's essentially a small fish getting slapped on the wrist, paying fines and stuff for being an unregistered, let's see, what was it exactly? Operated an unregistered national securities exchange. So that's something to be aware of as well. Other than that, let's get into where we stand right now. We're seeing daily consolidation, and we're also seeing the shorts begin to climb a little bit for the first time on Bitcoin. So we're having a green day on that chart, and we're going to be watching to see how many shorts start to enter positions, keeping in mind that these weekly charts can still stay tight for another couple of weeks, maybe even 3-4 weeks. And a couple videos ago, I looked at the weekly time frame for Ethereum and said, oh man, if this month bounce is just a lower high, we can stay in this tightening range another 3+ weeks. While we just set the lower high, we look to pull back and form a higher low compared to 184. And it just slowly gets tighter with the volume still very low. That's a possibility. Just prepare yourself for that. So at this point, I've stopped out of my positions. I stopped out with a small win on Bitcoin and a small loss on Ethereum. And in the end, very insignificant. But I'm going to continue positioning myself in that way to potentially benefit from if we do get the weekly bull break. So the fact that, my entry was triggered by a daily shift in momentum on Bitcoin here when this bull break occurred, I wanted to give myself the possibility that, bulls show up out of nowhere and see a huge 5% move and it causes shorts to trigger on the weekly resistance break. So I will keep watching for low risk entries to give myself the possibility to be in positions that are protected with stop losses for when the break does come. But again, very unaggressively. I'm not going to be aggressive in this crypto space until we get clear breaks and clear trend changes. So where we stand on Bitcoin, the last daily higher low was established down at 63.13. Anything above 63.13 is a higher low on the daily chart, keeping this uptrend intact. It's a pretty solid pullback at this point. Bulls ideally want to hold the exponential moving averages and let them see a bull cross following through, but the most important level is 63.13. If we zoom in on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that dump that we had with the bears jumping in. Look at the back test and rejection. So support was very clear at 64.90, and then we got up to 64.90 and rejected with that lower low. So a bearish entry signal was given on that loss of support, and bears could potentially still be in this trade with just lower highs and lower lows on the 4-hour. So on the hourly chart, any bounce here, we're going to be watching for a lower high to form compared to 64.90, and it's going to require an hourly trend change for us to be looking for the daily higher low to potentially be established and for the bulls to make some recovery. So as long as the trend is bearish on the hourly time frame, daily consolidation will continue. Ethereum, the pullback, pretty significant as well. It was a bearish reversal candlestick yesterday, getting follow through. The bear break that occurred here was down at 215.56. Look at the back test, 215.47. Perfect back test of previous support, now resistance with a rejection, and lower high and lower low on the 4-hour time frame. So again, the hourly chart, as long as it's in a lower high, lower low pattern, we are going to be looking for daily consolidation. Change that pattern and we zoom out to the daily and look for our higher low to potentially be set. Anything above 198 is a higher low on the daily chart for Ethereum bulls. LTC, a bit more significant pullback, pretty in line, but pulling back pretty hard from that top up at 56.40. Ended up pulling back over 5% at this point. 4-hour time frame, the break wasn't as clear because we had that harder pullback the whole time. So in terms of any bearish entries on LTC, not that clear, but the hourly downtrend still intact here. Most recent lower high, anything under 53.78 is just a lower high. Bulls need to change the hourly trend to be looking for the daily higher low to be established. The last daily higher low down at about 50.34 is a support level we're keeping an eye on. So you can see that once I do the initial analysis of Bitcoin and I see where we stand, everything that's correlated to it is so much quicker. I just make note of the subtle differences. How's the pullback comparative to it? But otherwise, everything else is the same. It's just the price numbers and the levels that we're watching that differ. So it takes me a little bit longer to do the initial leader of a sector. And this is the same point that I made in the MJ video yesterday, I believe, where as soon as I did the sector leader, the rest of the names were very easy to do and just a quick check-in needed to get those key levels. BCH, significant bull move means a significant pullback because we did not establish much support on the way up. 638 was the top, pulled back over $20, and we are looking at the 4-hour time frame with that little lower high and lower low. The clear bear break occurred at 603. We dropped down to 572, so some nice follow through for the bears once that break did occur, and now we are back testing, forming the lower high. But the difference here is BCH did not hit a lower low. So that lower low on the hourly did not come. We have a higher low, and if the bulls can break $600, that changes the hourly trend. So BCH may be one of the first to change the hourly trend because we did not drop to the lower low, which means we're one step ahead of the potential trend change. If any of these names that we already looked at break the hourly lower highs, they still need the higher low and higher high for confirmation of the trend change. Now that we have the higher low, all we need is the bull break of the lower highs, and that gives us that trend change. So definitely a different setup. 600 and then 620 are the two resistance levels to be watching. And on the daily chart, we're going to look for a higher low because the last one was at 406. So again, a lot of space, but a lot of space for the bulls to work with in terms of establishing that support level. XRP on the daily time frame, also significant pullback after the significant bull move up. Daily inside bar broke bearish, so there was a clear bear break on the 4-hour time frame below the support of 528 and 526. We break down, lower high, lower low follow through, and a nice bear entry signal playing out for a small win at this point. Hourly time frame, anything under 52.089 is a lower high. Seeing an oversold bounce attempt, but watching to see if it's just a lower high, we know that daily consolidation will continue. Volume favoring the bulls versus the bears on this pullback and run up. So that's definitely a good sign. And that's what you want to be watching on all these names. Declining bear volume is the goal for the bulls, and they want to see significant bull volume comparative to the bear volume. Checking in on Bitcoin on the daily time frame, it's a bit more in line, not as clearly favoring the bulls on the way up. So that's worth noting as well. XLM USD, most significant bounce at this point. So short term, the most bullish. This looks like a daily bull flag. Anything above 23.59 is a higher low, and the bulls are easily looking to form that higher low. And at this point, the hourly trend has changed, or at least it's on its way changing. We broke the lower highs. So this is a scenario where we now need the higher low, which is down here at 255, and now we have to see the confirmation move over 2659 to change this trend. So the bull move broke lower highs, but the confirmation of the higher low and higher high is needed to change this trend. 4-hour time frame, healthy consolidation, and now the bulls are trying for that continuation. So it's going to be interesting to see if XLM or BCH gives us an hourly trend change first, that we can be looking for the other names to potentially follow. And we're at an indecision period still. The weekly time frame, long term, obviously we don't have any signals yet. Still patiently waiting And I don't see any setups that I like in terms of re-entering bullish positions with small risk to give myself the potential of entry in the weekly bull breaks. So I'm just going to patiently be watching and waiting, and we'll see if we get daily higher lows, which is the most likely scenario on all of these coins. And the momentum would significantly shift back to the bears if we establish our daily higher low, we're unable to break the high of the bounce to this point, and then we come back down and break that higher low. That's when all of these names would lose the daily uptrend, and our weekly lower highs would be looking to be set. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Do some good things out there. We appreciate any donations and any swag. We'll do all that fun social media stuff. I want to see people wearing our gear, road tripping around and adventuring. So if you tag us and tag yourself in a picture while you're traveling, we'll give away courses and things like that. So we'll give more information on Instagram and all these fun places. And thanks for the support. Have a good day.
What's up, Leroy?